Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. First and foremost, just want to say a big thank you as always to all the supporters of the channel. Anybody who's watching and commenting on the videos and just enjoying the content, thanks ever so much. Greatly appreciated as always. Any newcomers to the channel, welcome and hope you enjoyed the video. But this one's just going to be the first real update on the generic box art build. If you missed the last video, this is what we're going to recreate here, an old favourite of mine. And yeah, I wanted to do this one for a while, but we've finally chosen the two kits which we're going to be chopping up. For the main body, we're going to be using this 65 Lincoln here, and it looks in a sorry state, and it is in a sorry state, but this is quite a dear old kit to me, this in particular one. I must have had this since I was maybe 8 or 9. It was one of the first AMT kits I was allowed to get, maybe 7 or 8 or something like that. And the reason I think was because at one time in the late 80s and into very early 90s, we used to start seeing these prestige kits turn up in not hobby shops or anything, just discount shops and stuff, and like where you just like pound shops and stuff, and I think they were selling between £3 and £5 each at the time, which was pretty cheap for a hard to find kit in the UK. And you'd see a lot of the prestige range. That's why the Lincoln, the 65 Pontiac, the 63 Galaxy have always remained some strong favourites of mine. But yeah, you'd see these tip up, and we would buy them up wherever we could. And anybody who was in the hobby, in the household, I think we'd all stock up on these. And you'd see some other kits other than the prestige range, but I think the story was that they found an old shipping container. Somebody bought a couple of shipping containers and then just distributed them out to these discount shops. And there was a lot of old, for us, like I've mentioned it before, but 2 or 3 years old was extremely hard to find back in the 80s. There was no internet and stuff. So yeah, I built this one. I think it's still got the original blue painted chassis. I think that was hand painted. And then I originally just built it I might have put some of the customizing bits, but I never painted it, and it sat like that for a year or so. And then I tried my hand at spray painting, and that was my first lesson in that you really do need to use primer on plastics. No matter what paint you use, and you're always going to get a bit better finish. But I think it was metallic red, and yeah, it frazzled up all the plastics. Before my days of paint stripper, I carefully wet sanded it all off, and over time the windshield post got broken. But yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the oldest surviving kits from my childhood. I mean, I've got a few, and I've sold so many much nicer kits than this in the past, but I've always kept hold of this one, never knew what I was going to do with it. But so that brings a bit of it's good to get this one on the bench after 30 years or so, and make something really nice out of it. So that's going to be the main body. Yeah, really struggled, to be quite honest. As I've said, the 63 Galaxy is one of my favourite kits, and it really pains me to cut one up. I have got a number of 64 promos which I would have used, but all except from one of the promos I had, some form of damage to the roof, and I wasn't going to cut up the remaining one I have left with completely undamaged roofs. Yeah, this is a builder I started work on. I think I bought it just in painted black, and it was pretty rough. But yeah, I was gonna do a gasser out of this one. Spent a lot of time shaving off all this trim, and but in all fairness, out of all the ones I've got, this is the roughest one, and yeah, I'm just gonna have to suck up the facts that I started this many years ago, never finished it, but it's gonna donate its roof. I was actually looking for one with the rear arches still intact, because I was potentially gonna use the rear arches on this. Something has to happen with this rear arch to make it look a little bit more like that. I don't know if we're going to reposition the arch altogether, move it forward, or if once we start building up this rear end, it's going to lengthen it enough to make it look reasonable in that area. But obviously we're going to make it a 2-door and what have you. But yeah, I mean, but I ain't even going to try and, I was going to try and scribe it all along here, in hopes that we might save another body for another project. But I'm going to probably end up using the interior out of this, or a similar interior. So even if I swap this interior out of another builder for a slightly better one with less paint, then the kit's going to be a parts kit anyway. So I'm just gonna, I already started just running I've got my razor saw handy here. I just started cutting along that line, but thought I'd stop and actually do an update and show you what kits we're actually starting with. So yeah, I think the first thing is I'm just gonna do a square cut along here, cut the full cowl off. Like Mike suggested as well. I think that's the best way to go. Is with, like I say, I've got some builders with posts intact, but I just want the roof looking really clean, and I don't want to start having to graft the roof into an already flexible, weak, structured frame there. So yeah, we're going to cut it all down here. I'm probably going to overcut it, and then we'll just trim it down to what we need. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be the first major part, and then the front and rear ends. And like I say, we're gonna have to do something with that rear arch. I think it sits a little bit too high, or it just needs a bit of reshaping to look more like the box art. So there is going to be a lot of fabrication into this one, I'm afraid. But I thought the best thing to do is, like I say, just keep doing updates. What I'll do is I'll start making a few cuts, add another clip onto this video. Not too sure how far we get. We might just even have the roof cut off, and maybe another few bits. But yeah, I've got a couple of hours. I think I'll just start cutting away, and I think that's the only way to sort of really see how the project's gonna go, and then you can tackle the next bit. And I think that's gonna be it with this one. I don't have an extremely clear plan, because it's just going to be cut and play and plan, really. So what we'll do is I will cut this clip, and we will see you in the next one. See you in a second. Right then, well, we've made the first cuts now, and I think we're fully committed to this project. I wanted to get the roof on today, more than anything. I've spent a couple of hours on it. I just got a bit of dead time waiting to go around to the partners and help her with decorating a boys' room again. But I think she's just out at minutes. Like I say, we've just got a couple of free hours before I'm setting off to go around there again. But yeah, it's not gone too bad, to be fair. First of all, we had to make the roof to the Lincoln body. I wanted to, like I say, I wanted to know that this roof was going to work with this body. had it not done, we probably would have had to find a different body and change the route of the original idea. But yeah, I mean, we just obviously we started off with the 63 Galaxy body, and I didn't measure, to be quite fair. I just did a straight cut along the line, body line here. I think it was in line with the trunk lid anyway, and then I wouldn't say it's uneven or anything. I mean, in fact, the cuts are very even, and I just managed to look out with just running the razor saw down each side, and then I cut the whole cowl off. And originally it was notched. Originally it was notched into this panel, just to give it a good hold. I didn't want to cut this away first because, you know, this front part was really structural. Once I cut the same area out. I mean, all I did with that is once I cut the roof, I put this on. It just sat so well into the channels anyway. All I had to do was, I didn't even mark the sides. I just marked the rear end, the rear of it, which was perfectly in line with the original trunk section. And we kept the 63 Galaxy cowl section on there. Now I did sink it because this Lincoln has a really prominent feature line where, you know, obviously it's completely sunken into here, and I didn't want to lose that. I mean, I think, you know, looking at the box, you know, there is a kind of a channel in there, and yeah, I think so I did want to keep that channel in there, and it keeps it in line with the Lincoln design as well. So we sank that in there. The main parts I wanted to line up with where the cowl meets. You know, I made sure they lined up, and it's perfectly in line down either sides. We have got a bit of work to do on the trunk lid. I kept the roof level in the middle to the trunk lid, but we are going to have to shape this trunk lid down to meet the shape of the original Galaxy roofs. Yeah, we'll still keep that channel in there. It's just going to be softened down on each side. You know, we're going to have to do quite a bit on that to make it look right. But you know, I think that works out really well. I just started, when I was gluing it, I just started tacking it in with super glue, and when you're cutting all this stuff, you know, it creates a lot of plastic shavings, and when we're sanding bits, you know, that causes plastic dust. So I kept all that, just swept it up in the dustpan, kept it in this little thing, and yeah, I just started. Well, I didn't try and press anything together. I just ploughed a load of super glue down the sides, one section at a time. I just wanted to first start off with these corners, make sure the corners were in line, and before the super glue had set, obviously, I mean, pretty much straight away, while it was still wet, we just pushed a load of this sanding dust in here and pushed it up into the gaps, and then we clamped it tight with each section we wanted to glue. And I don't really think I'm going to have to do any filling down this channel here at all. I think with a bit of primer and all the glue and which makes kind of a filler, you know, I think we're not going to have to do much in there at all, to be quite honest with you, sir. But yeah, I mean, so we got that in, and then I thought, well, I really need to know that the front end works on it as well. The tops of the front end, you know, it did kind of meet up with the lines, and it's pretty much cock on really, but because this was designed for the Mercury, and yeah, you'd probably be able to use it with the 63 Galaxy. You know, it has quite quite a rounded contour, and it's not, the Mercury's and Thors are far from slab sided, so they have a lot of shape into them. So we've had to take off a lot of material down the sides on here without losing the look of it. But the worst thing you could do is, I needed all this flat. So if I didn't sand down all this stuff here to make it in line with the actual body, once you just end up with like a bubble. You're gonna see it's a bit like them 54 front ends. Unless you really shape down the sides, you can always see where the filler blends into the wing, and you almost end up with a wider front end than the rest of the body, because you're trying to shape that front end into it. So yeah, I mean, I think, to be quite honest, the front end probably was a lot more hassle than the roof, to be quite fair, to make that fit. Yeah, we've had to contour it a lot more down here, but I think it's now given us a good base. I mean, it's very, like I say, we've done nothing on the rear end, so it's not looking anything like the rear end on the box art yet. But I think, and we've got a lot of conflicting designs still, a lot of conflicting features from the two kits. We've got the 4 doors on here. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to utilise the existing Galaxy door lines and continue that down, and that's going to leave a really big gap between the rear arch and the back of the door. I mean, we could extend the rear door, but I think the rear door is going to end up looking massive if we do it too much. And yeah, I just don't think it'll look right, to be fair. So I think what the next step is I'm going to reshape all this boot lid, and concentrate on at least getting a base shape for the rear quarter panels. I mean, they need to slope down towards the back, so we'll be able to manage that, no problem at all. It's just I think I've got a part which lends itself to that rear end, and like I say, from this side, it's all my own creative license. There's never been a picture of the rear end of this one, so not that I can really see on here. I don't think they really. I think that that's more like the 63 Galaxy, and yeah, I mean 63 Impala, sorry, and yeah, these are just a mixture of everything really. It looks a bit Galaxy on the rear end, but it's a bit Thunderbirdy on the front. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to really tell how far we got with this, but we got a lot of work on the front end as well, to make that look right. I mean, I did end up having to. I was going to leave this in place, but to fit the front end, it was just fouling too much, and I just needed it out of the way. So I decided to cut down the existing Galaxy openings. That's why I left a bit of the cowl, just a bit of the top of the front of the fenders in front of the cowl. So I had a rough idea of how if we decide to use the 63 Galaxy hood. Obviously, the 63 Galaxy comes with a lot of extensions for the hood anyway, or we could do a bit of mix and match on both of these and get it to work a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, it's very far from getting the body right. But like I say, it's just going to be one step at a time, and each thing we do, it's going to end up looking more like the box art. I mean, like going back to the doors, you know, we are gonna probably have to move this rear wheel arch forward a little bit. Whether we utilise this rear arch or we cut one from another scrap body, which is to make it look a little bit more like that. I mean, I think that's a really narrow. I think I wouldn't want it sitting too much like that on the. And I think we need to open it up a little bit, but because it does look like it's kind of a perspective view on that rear arch, and we do want it to look right, and we want it to look like the model, the picture on the box. But I think I'd rather get the arch looking right, and if we do move that arch forward, then we're going to probably use the 63 Galaxy interior. And I mean, we're going to use the interior anyway, because that's going to mate up with the roof. And if we use the 63 Galaxy chassis as well, that's going to allow, because it is a shorter wheelbase, that's going to allow us to move that without having to cut the original Lincoln chassis. I've really never liked these Lincoln chassis. I think they always seem such a pain to fit. They never fit really right. I mean, I've never trimmed one down. I've never actually tried to build one since I built this as a young kid, maybe 10 or 11 or whenever it was. I've tried my first hand at spray painting, but yeah, I mean, it's I'm really glad we've used this body now. Like I say, I've had this body for such a long time and never knew what to do with it. And even though it just looked like a piece of scrap, I knew we'd find a use for it one of these days. And the roof, yeah, that looks like a prestige issue kit as well. You can tell by the colour of the plastic. I mean, they bought out the buyer's choice maybe 10 years after that, in a similar style box to that, and that was moulded in grey. And then round two bought their one out, which had the print on the top, on the underside of the roof, and it's definitely not round two plastic, and it's definitely not original 63 plastic. This one's yeah, I think we got two Prestige series kits moulded together. I have been thinking ahead a little bit on this one. I'd made sure I'd sanded all the glue marks out of the roof. There was a lot of heavy gluing. That's why when I started restoring the Galaxy years ago and never finished it, there was a lot of sink marks in the roof. So we got that all sanded down now. I used that fuse paint stripper just while I was cutting this section out. So that was maybe 10-15 minutes. I just set it on a bit of tissue paper and use that paint stripper I've shown before. Unfortunately, I think it's only available in the UK, but within 10 minutes that was complete. That shifted all this, I think it's like black automotive rattle can paint, the same kind of stuff I use to paint mine. So, but yeah, that was not hard work for that stripper to work through straight away. Just after I'd cut this bit out, I just went with the brush and agitated it for about a few minutes, and that got it all off. And then we just ran it under the warm tap. I mean, it's a water-based stuff, so it's not harmful to the plastic. But yeah, I didn't want to deal with the black paint after I'd glued this on, so we just wanted clean plastic to work with. So yeah, I mean, we're starting to get a little bit of the look so far. Yeah, we are far off. But like I say, all this conflicting detail here, we'll start seeing the model coming together once we get rid of all this. And this front door line, that's going to shorten the front fender up a lot. you know, so it's not going to have that massive Lincoln front fender. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one for me. Like, you know, it's again, like I said at the beginning of it all, you know, I have no idea of how it's going to go and what exactly I'm going to do at each point. It's just a case of, you know, trying one bit at a time, getting that right, and then moving it on. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, but yeah, we'll crack this one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I think the more we do is the more it'll come alive. Like, so. But I mean, yeah, I mean, we're on Thursday now. We're only a day after I released that original video on it. Just telling you what we were planning. So yeah, I think it's coming on all right. And yeah, if I can get this uploaded today, then you know that's me completely inconsistent. And you know, you'll either wait a week or you'll wait a day. You know, that's unfortunately the way I roll. But I will try and, like I say, whenever I get a bit of spare time, and I ain't got much else to do, or I can't really get stuck involved with other stuff, just because I'm waiting about, you know, I will jump on it and do just a little bits and pieces on it. So yeah, I think we'll end the video, like, and once again, you know, thank you to everybody who watches the videos. You know, I really appreciate everything. You know, the support in the community and from the viewers is absolutely phenomenal. I can't thank you all enough. Like I say, I enjoy getting to the bench and doing these things. Yeah, for YouTube. Otherwise, I probably just wouldn't bother, to be quite honest with you. You know, I find other things to waste my time on, but yeah, I mean, not that this is a waste of time. You know, it's extremely valuable to me. Like, you know, if I wasn't doing this, I would literally be wasting my time. Whereas when we're doing this, you know, we're actually creating something and pulling another idea out of my head and what have you. So yeah, I'll end the video now, like I say, again, for the second time. Hope you all enjoyed the rest of your day, and thank you ever so much for watching. See you, bye.